All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Happy, was it Thursday today? It doesn't feel like a Thursday, feels like a Tuesday. I know that means nothing, but hope you guys are having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM and are ready for what should hopefully be a continuation of what has been a very strong and profitable trading week here so far. What I really want to focus on today, right, or kind of talk about here a little bit this morning before we get started, is just how discipline is the most important form of self-love. So one of the hardest things as a trader is to do what is best for us long term, not what feels best for us in the moment. And that obsession, right, over deciding, okay, my future goal is to do this, it's to pass my evaluation, it's to get my first 10K payout, it's to do XYZ, doesn't feel very attainable on a day-to-day basis, right? It is the accumulation of multiple strong trading days, of multiple successful opportunities that ultimately creates that objective for you, right? Or solves that objective for you in the future. And so discipline is the most important skill that we have to work towards and build towards on a day-to-day basis. Without that, there's nothing, right? And as traders, the discipline to take a small loss never feels good, but allowing a small loss turn into a catastrophic one feels worse. The discipline to take a small win instead of holding out hope for a massive profit, right, when you have no evidence that that's going to happen, feels worse, right, than that hopium of thinking, hey, this is going to run forever. The discipline, right, to not take a trade in a choppy market or when nothing follows your rules, right, feels worse than the dopamine release of chasing a play that isn't perfect. But it's ultimately that obsession, right, over what is doing best for you in the future, not what feels best for you in the moment, that creates that element of success that we are all searching for here on a day-to-day basis. So again, I want to stress, right? Discipline is the most challenging form of self-love that we need to practice on a day-to-day basis, and it is what we need to obsess over here as traders. I start almost every morning off by talking about, hey, we need to control the variables we can control. We need to make it easy for ourselves, right, to stick within our parameters. And what that means to me, right, is that I'm trying to make it easy for myself to accomplish my objective or my target here in the future. I'm not trying to jump the gun, right, and do everything all in one day or all in one trade. So that's never going to be the reality. And I'm never going to let one trade, right, put me in a situation where now that objective is no longer attainable. This addiction to self-sabotage is something that we all suffer and we all deal with and we all have to fight through. And it is once you choose to make that commitment to yourself that you're not going to tolerate that anymore, that you're better than that, right? That you deserve more than that, that you can start to finally embrace that discipline that's going to make you as profitable as you want to be. The most incredible thing about the markets and the most incredible thing about trading is that there is no ceiling, right? There is no upper limit to what you can accomplish. And so if you want to accomplish those objectives, you basically have to smash through your limiting beliefs and put yourself in situations where you're constantly evolving, improving, and going through these little like micro revolutions that make you a better trader. So if you want to make 10K a month, awesome, right? If you want to make 100K a month, awesome. If you want to make $100 million a month, can all happen, right, in the market. There's more than enough liquidity for that to eventually be your objective. And so you not only need to believe that it is possible for you, but once you have that belief, you need to make your actions match your words. And those actions need to be founded, right, or have a strong foundation in that discipline muscle. And so if you care about your future, if you care about your targets, you care about your objectives, right, you believe in yourself, then you have to be disciplined enough to do or to not chase what feels best in the moment and instead delay that gratification to chase what feels best for you long term. So for me, that is the number one objective. That's the number one thing I try to focus on a day-to-day basis. It is not what feels best in the moment that is best for my account. And it's understanding that the more that I ignore those impulses, the more that I ignore those anchors that try to bring me down and hold me back, the more and more I put myself in a situation where I will be able to accomplish my objectives. And then from there, it's about controlling and understanding that the language I use to describe my problems becomes the frameworks of which I use to solve them. So if every day I start the session off, right, or start my morning off by telling me, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot, I'm such a gambler, I'm such a degenerate, I'm XYZ, well, everything is going to be framed around that first, right? Everything is going to be framed within that negative context, and then I'm going to always succumb back down towards those negative frameworks. So if I want to be successful, it has to be with a positive mindset and positive language first, right? Oh, I do have the skills to be successful. Oh, I do have the skills to be disciplined. Oh, I do have the skills to manage my risk appropriately. Oh, I do have the skills to follow my back test. Oh, I do have the skills, right, to create the future that I want for myself. And the more and more I frame my problems within those positive frameworks, the easier it is for me to then overcome those anxieties around solving them. And I will default towards good habits instead of expensive ones. So one thing I talk about and one thing I try to do in my journal, for example, right, is to try to write down those negative emotions, right? When I feel stressed, when I feel rushed, when I feel anxious. Because once I start to understand the patterns of behavior that create those negative feelings, then the more I can be conscious about using positive language to attack and solve those problems. So I would challenge you all here today to evaluate those frameworks, to evaluate those maybe areas where you give yourself an excuse to continue being the trader you don't want to be. And the more that you can embrace the power of positive thinking, right? Embrace the skills that you already have and believe in yourself that you will be able to accomplish it, then the closer you are going to be to finally getting there and achieving everything that you want out of the market. So today's theme, right, is discipline. The discipline to not feel like I need to make back a loss if I've had one here this week. The discipline to not chase P&L if it isn't there. The discipline to not gamble just because I'm green. And my objective here today is to hopefully show you how to embrace that mindset on a day-to-day basis and to absolutely dominate the market so that we can crush, right, all of our objectives and our desires. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out. Let's figure out what we want to do here today. And let's make today the first step towards that next chapter of profitable trading. So good morning, Suresh, Brian, Salstein, Ruben, Samuel, Jay Deals, Juan, Jeremy, Craig, Raim, John, Jen, Jeff, The Lift Project, Tasha, Steven, Constantine, Devin, Dustin, Tanja, Emmanuel, Mike, Igor, Jason, Kenneth, Sarah, Emil, Randall, Topher, Sabrine, Nate, Derek, Chad, Greg, SG, Bugs, Ben, Herschel, Dana, and Antonin. Hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Good morning, Billy. And let's absolutely crush today's session. So first things first, right? Economic calendar. We are flying higher here this morning. Jobless claims, durable good orders. A lot of Fed speak here. We got some data at 10 a.m. So definitely an interesting session here on the economic calendar, right? We've got a lot of, we'll call it speed bumps, right? Potentially here along the way. And we're getting a massive gap up this morning, at least on ES, right? Well beyond all-time highs. So looking forward to seeing what kind of momentum shows up for us to take advantage of here today. So what's the count on ES? Let's start there. Let's start mapping out our plan. And let's see what the session wants to give us. Good morning, Sammy. Yeah, 1 for 3 here to the upside, spot on, right? Not quite an inside bar there yesterday, right? Because we did make a higher high, barely. And we're finally breaking out from that Thursday range. So it was, one nice day there last week. So far, consolidation here this week. And then today, we're finally getting that breakout. So we got to be a little bit cautious, right? To make sure that that move isn't happening overnight. But definitely gives us reason to think that, hey, we could get some nice continuation here this morning and really start to push things higher. We're already at 58.30. So we're going to be looking for like 58.40, 58.50, yada, yada, yada. And then maybe push this thing up towards like 5,900. Man, 6K's in range. And we'll just go 10 points along the way, right, until we get there. And then we want to see more vol than yesterday, right? No, it's a red candle, right? So it's going to be a minus there, Salstein, right? So it's to the downside. Red candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So none of the elements besides the candle's color are telling us that bears are in control. So it's a 1 out of 3 here to the downside. No worries, no worries. And then lower here, right, we could potentially reverse this scenario. Although I would say that that would be less preferential, right? When you're at all-time highs, you tend to make more higher highs, right? You don't look to get immediate breakdowns. So we're going to still have that flexibility in play. We'll be targeting a move towards 57.80 and then lower, right? We've already have those levels mapped out. But not too much is changing from that downside narrative here so far this week. So we'll see if that does come together. But if we're going to visualize pretty much every candle we've seen here so far this week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? They're all arrows pointing up, right? It's all bullish bias here so far this AM. So we're going to look for that continuation as our path of least resistance. And if everything starts to break down, then okay, right? We can start to look lower. All right, NQ. Yeah, so Salstein nailed it, right? 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. Right, so it's a green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. Right, so we're missing that volume narrative. So 2 out of 3 here to the upside, Herschel. And then we're at 25. Wow, that thing flies. So we'll go 26, 27, 29, 21. Right, and then we'll go 21-1. Oh boy, this is going to be a tongue twister day for me here. 21-2, 21-3, 21-4. And then to the downside, right, we're going to have same scenario we have on ES, right? Because we don't have that volume shelf, there's an opportunity for this gap up to be sold. And so we're going to be looking for a move towards 2,200. Then 2,100 and 20,000. And then under 20,000, we kind of have, we'll go space towards like say 19.6. Cool. Any questions? Make sense? All right. CL, what's the count here? Yeah, spot on. Salstein, 3 out of 3 here to the downside. Where did my notes go? Hey, good morning, James. So bullish NA here today, right? Because we have clear trending price action here to the downside. And bearish, right? We're going to be looking for ORB fake out, then break down. Just one of those days, I guess. Ooh, I kind of like the way that italic looks. And then we're going to be looking for a move down towards like that 65 area. So we're at 67, so we'll go like 66.50. We can go down towards like 63.50. So that's just our indication here of how strong the trending price action is, right? So we've got a strong red candle there yesterday, right? Increasing strong bearish volume. And then today's price action is also gapping down. So all three elements are telling us that bears are in control here in the pre-market. And then we'll go 63.50 here as our final stopping point. Kind of the opposite narrative, right? Like we have on the indexes. So the indexes are giving us a big gap down, not necessarily supported by volume. But CL is giving us a big gap down, right? Supported by volume. I might have said gap down on the index. It's a big gap up. So, you know, we're kind of getting a little bit of a divergence there, right? We're kind of getting a slightly opposite narrative. So we'll see how this thing kind of sets up here and really pushes us to the downside. But let's make sure, right, that we can really see some selling pressure here show up. Obviously, we don't need more volume than yesterday, and we're probably not going to expect more volume than yesterday post crude oil inventories. But maybe, right, that creates some trending PA for us to take advantage of here in the next day or so. All right, Apple. Green candle, decreasing volume, gap up, right? So 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. And we're still going to look for that 230 breakout. Not too much changing. To the downside, we're going to look for a 214 breakdown. Similar narrative, right, to the indexes. It's a gap up on a decreasing volume standard. So certainly seems like there's a consistent story there. All right, Tesla. Kind of looks like an inside bar. Is an inside bar. What the fuck do these notes go again to? So bullish, right? We're going to be looking for a breakout over 262. Bearish, right? We're going to look for a breakdown here under 250. What the heck is going on here with my notes today? This is annoying. All right. Microsoft inside bar as well. So bullish. Let's double check here. And now I just lost my CL ones. Oh, no, maybe not. All right. Weird. So, whatever's going on here with TradingView, annoying. So bullish, we're going to look for a breakout here above. I mean, we kind of have a flag set up here, right? So that point of contact there on that trend line, 436. And then to the downside, we're looking for a breakdown under 426.50. Okay, Amazon inside bar gapping up as well. We need to get over 196. And then to the downside here, under 190. So again, not too much changing here for these downside narratives. Okay, AMD, 3 for 3 here to the upside. Pretty big gap up. Might want to try to fill this gap from, say, like 170 to 174. That's pretty interesting. 167 here pre-market. So big move higher here. So we're either looking for a dip, buy, and go. And then no bear case. All right, NVIDIA, green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. Oh, there it is. I gotta say, I like the way the italic looks. So we're looking for a 127 breakout here this morning on a 2 out of 3 without volume. And then to the downside here, it'd basically be like a BB reversal setup. Okay, Meta, 3 for 3 here to the upside. Weak 3 out of 3 though, right? Because that arrow yesterday is pointing down. So we know a lot of that volume, right, that showed up there yesterday was here to the downside, right? It's basically sellers defending all-time highs, but we're gapping up and over those areas here this morning. So we're looking for like a 578 breakout right here to the upside, and then an NA here to the downside. Okay, Netflix, green candle, decreasing volume, gap up, right? So 2 out of 3 again here to the upside without volume. And we're looking for a 727 breakout here at this point, or a breakdown under yesterday's lows, which was approximately 716. Okay, and then Google inside bar here needs to crack up and over 166. And then bear case, right, we're looking for a breakdown under 161. And then VIX 15 spot 2 here pre-market. So we're seeing a lot of that volatility fade away here a little bit this AM. So let's see, right, how strong that narrative essentially wants to be prior to us being aggressive this morning. If I don't get a nice level of enthusiasm, then it's going to be challenging for me to want to be very aggressive. And we also know that we have a tremendous amount of headline risk here today, right? As we've got so many Fed speakers, right? Like this is a freaking full calendar, right? So we got some Fed speakers going on right now. We got Powell speaking here, started 4 minutes ago. We got some more yapping away here all morning. So we'll have to make sure, right, that we see a consistent story across the board here today if we're going to want to be aggressive. Without that consistency, I'm not going to want to risk basically any of the trading profits I've put together here so far this week, right? So if it isn't perfect, if it isn't absolutely spot on, if it isn't just like the best price action I've seen all week, then there's very limited reasons, right, to want to jump into something that isn't there. So it's got to be perfect. It's got to be A+. And if it is, we should have a lot of opportunities. If it's not, no worries. I'll be happy to sit on hands and not rush into anything here today. Make sense? All right. Any questions here, team? Any questions? So gold is giving you a 1 for 3 here, right? So green candle, decreasing volume, and then today so far selling pressure. So it's telling you non-trending price action here after making new highs. So this is telling me consolidation, not necessarily trending PA. All right, team. So I'm just going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here to visualize a successful trading day, and then we'll jump back on here as the session is starting and hopefully dominate today's price action. We'll be back in a few minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. Interesting. Okay. And then hopefully we can kind of go from there. So we'll be back in a few minutes here, team, and I'll jump back on in a second. All right, guys. So drawings are disappearing on me here, as it seems like they're having some maintenance issues. So we'll have to just remember our plans here this morning. But the ORB indicator should make it easy for us on our initial targets. But we are looking for a bullish bias here this AM, right? And we're going to see where that enthusiasm shows up here prior to us being aggressive. Obviously, the size of that gap up with a lot of Fed speakers here on the way today maybe makes me just a little bit cautious, right? As that often means that the move has happened overnight. So we'll see where that momentum and volume shows up before we really jump in and do anything silly here today. But if we do get that volume, it should be obvious. If we don't, again, that should be obvious as well. So let's put ourselves in situations where it's easy to be successful. We can have ourselves a strong day, and then hopefully we can kind of go from there. Yeah, I won't speak for everyone here, but my estimation is approximately 45 traders or so have been funded and gotten payouts. How vocal they want to be about that, up to them. So far, really good volume to start the day off, right? Really big volume. And just a little bit of selling pressure here, right? Without it necessarily being tremendously bearish yet. Crude selling off nicely, but not the best volume here yet. So let's see, right? This could be a little bit of a mean reversion trade, right? To the downside, fill that gap, and then once that gap is filled, it will make its move. If not, right, let's be a little bit cautious here. Again, like I said, right, go from there. Yeah, so I mean, I personally pretty much only trade ES, NQ, and CL. But we'll look at how the leading names are basically behaving so that we have a good idea of what the internals are of our indexes. So if I see a lot of buying pressure, right, or a lot of selling pressure, and I'm getting a mixed bag story on the indexes, I know I can assume maybe a little bit more chop. If I'm seeing, you know, consistent kind of gap up or consistent story across the board, easier for me to fall in love with the narrative, right, and go after that price action. So really big volume to start the day off, though. Really big volume. So we know we have that standard in play. About twice as big of a range as we saw yesterday, right? And about twice as big volume as we saw yesterday. Okay. Not twice as big, but 50% bigger. So that's a good level of enthusiasm, right? Definitely a good indication of there possibly being some momentum available to us here today. But let's make sure, right, we actually get that consistent story before we jump in and be forceful. So pretty big dump across the board, right? Everything showed me a decent amount of selling pressure here to start the day off. Might have to just be a little bit patient here. Good morning, PJ. So seems a little bit unlikely that we're going to get increasing volume here on NQ. Might have to pass on that burden or look for different scenarios. So yeah, just a very busy economic calendar here today. I'm not watching like the financial news and hunting away here and all this kind of stuff, but always creates, right, just a little bit of some potential extra, we'll call it, you know, kindling, right? Tesla puking after a fake out higher. So everything seems to be selling off here, or vast majority of names seem to be selling off so far. There's no reason to jump into anything here yet. Need to be patient, need to be cautious. Kind of been the theme here so far this week. So let's see how it goes. How's everyone feeling here this morning? Hey, good morning, Rod. Sorry I missed that, man. Yeah, doing all right, thank you. Are you out of the path, Jared? No biggie then, yeah. Are you long NVIDIA, Jen? Well, hopefully it keeps flying for you. No, I won't, Nate. I didn't even realize it was here. What's your average price, Jen? I'm a play golf, not watch golf guy. Masters excluded. Hey, good morning, Brian. Alright, so that's not too far away. Oh, my handicap is golf. But I'll play to like maybe like a 15 or a 16. A bit of a sandbagger. I appreciate that, Adnan, but once the stream ends, I still got plenty of work, unfortunately. You mean like swinging positions overnight? Unfortunately, no. And truthfully, I'm a day trader only, so I'm only day trading. Yeah, so they're talking about that in their personal portfolios, not in their futures prop firm accounts. So still no looks here this AM. Maybe CL here to the downside. It's time 9:42, so still a little bit before that anticipated flush. Okay, so we have a short setup here on crude. All right, let's see where this thing finds support here so we can set a reasonable stop loss and then start mapping things out. So as is, 67.29, might have to be higher still. Okay, better, right? So we can go 67.31 as our stop loss. Now we want to see elevator down, whoops, elevator down, right, through this low of day. And this would be a 3 contract position, right, as a starting point. Yeah, I mean, anything above 67.08 as a short would be a potentially good entry here. So starting to watch here for a little weak pullback into my zone. If I don't get it on the 3-min, I should still have a signal. I won't have a signal on the 5. So watching closely here. This candle has a chance to give me increasing volume as well, so it could reset back up, right, as a aggressive entry on a different technique, right, or on the next candle. So let's give this a second, see this candle close, see if we can get that nice reaction. And if I miss this entry, right, then I'll just reset and set my stop loss to be like 67.14, right, and then go from there. So if I don't get this right away, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now we got to do the aggressive technique here. So stop loss 67.14. And again, would still be, I could go 4 contracts here. Okay, and I am in, guys. Average price 67.04. I just said I'm in, yeah. Just said I'm in. Average price 67.04. So let's see if this thing can give me some immediate follow through here and start to really break down. But so far, so good. Would like to see more separation away from this 67 handle. And then we can really start to fly. Let's see if it's got the legs. Ooh, I didn't like that pullback. See if we can survive. Still in here, still in. Maybe not for long. Let's see. So touch my stop loss, but didn't cross, right? So if you guys don't want to be faked out, I would recommend you all watch the video, right? How to avoid fake outs with your stop loss technique. We talked about this a lot last week, right? About how I'm waiting for basically the bid to cross, right? My stop loss price for me to realize a stop loss. All right, I'm not waiting for the ask to cross. I'm waiting for the bid if I'm short. So it allows me to survive those fake outs. Again, not the best reaction here so far, right? So, again, potentially going to look to cut this here in a second if it doesn't want to give me that movement. It might be coming here. And that's the most recent video team, right? Inside the trading docs tab, right? So I gave you all homework to watch that last week. Please rewatch it again if you haven't. I explain exactly how I manage my stop loss in 20 minutes worth of detail there. Much more detail that I can give you right now. All right, and there we go. I took the stop. Right? It is this video, right? This video. Yes, it is in the trading docs tab in the Discord. It's also included in all the course material, guys. And this is potentially interesting here. I mean, I'm happy with my thesis. I don't think I did anything particularly wrong there. Lost small. But it's hard for me to answer that question exactly in the moment here, Antonin. It'd be more something I'd be able to answer for you once I've had some time to watch that back. I lost just a little bit over $400. Like 442-ish. It's 9:54. We got a little bit of data dropping at 10 a.m. pending home sales. Not the end of the world. Indexes aren't really moving, right? That's 6, 12, 18 minutes, right, of price action kind of just being stuck. No, I followed my stop loss technique fine, right? So if my stop loss technique here is high of my entry candle, if I make a higher high post entry, that's not exactly a sign of strength here to the downside, right? So no, I'm happy with my stop loss. I'd rather take an 11-point stop than take a 20-point stop. Right? So really the obsession here is about, okay, can I lose small? When I'm wrong, can I lose small? What's wrong with this candle shape here, Emil? That candle looks more like a least bearish, right, than a most bearish. So no. Not a strong sign of confirmation here to the downside. I filter through the first time frame where I see my signal, right? So I'll trade on the 3, the 5, the 10, the 15, whatever time frame gives me the first signal that matches my daily plan. Yeah, it would have been maybe more likely than at that point to have been considering a short, sure. So market's clearly waiting for something here, right? Because we're not getting very much movement on the indexes. And so, okay, good call to cut crude early. Even on the 1 min looks really gross. So far, so patient. Okay, 0 for 1 to start. Not a big deal. And at this point, right, I'm going to wait for that 10 a.m. data to drop. No point front running that narrative here yet. Okay, so let's watch this reaction here to the data. No real strong indication of what markets want to do here yet. So continuing to be cautiously patient. So ES the most interesting here potentially, right? But again, we need to get increasing outlier volume. That volume has completely dried up here early doors. NQ, same thing, right? If we can get a breakdown through low a day on increasing outlier volume, then we are back in business there. I mean, that's a personal question, to be honest with you, right? Everyone's going to have a thing that suits them best. I have 3 monitors. So I don't put multiple charts in one window. Again, it's not going to be what makes you profitable or what makes you unprofitable. Keep the main thing the main thing. So that looks like quite the rejection there on ES. I do this. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about here a little bit, Sammy. If I can go really tight risk-wise, then maybe don't need to. Things aren't moving very fast, though. So if I feel like I'm getting a lack of enthusiasm at these lows, that maybe that's not super appealing. Right? So if I'm not seeing that enthusiasm, I'd like to see that enthusiasm basically get set, right? So that would mean waiting for a breakdown through low of day. So let's watch here. Here's that Alamo line. Ooh, didn't quite do it on ES. So let's watch this here. And then NQ as well, right? Should be in business. This might be a little bit of a fake out scenario. Didn't close below, right? So a little fake out lower low. Yes, I would say not so much either. So let's wait on these longer time frames, right? See if we can get that oomph. NQ might be the easier one to get from a volume perspective. Still relatively slow moving market here yet this morning. Everything just looks a little bit gross. So both the 5 mints should still be in play here. Maybe a 10-min setup as well. Might prefer the 10-min. It'll give me more space to trade with. Let's see. NQ needs to close under 24, right? That has to be the starting point here. All right, without that breakdown under that psych level, I'm going to struggle to want to go after this. So a minute to go on both. And ideally, right, we're looking for the aggressive entry technique here on ES if it sets up. Let's see if it can. NQ not behaving as nicely here, back up above 24. So ES looks the better one here with 15 seconds to go. Don't want to see this thing pull back too much here. That'll invalidate our position sizing requirements. Nine-point stop's too big for me, I think, right? Like that would be a one contract play, which is not great on ES. So I'd prefer to see the aggressive technique play out here. So that I could have a stop loss that's like 6 points. And then I can at least buy 2 contracts. If it wants to go reversal, then NQ probably the easier setup here for reversal versus ES. Man, this shit is painfully slow today. So we're just taking our time here, taking our time. Unfortunately, demanding patience after that early shot on CL. It's fine. So as is, right, stop loss would be 58.13.75. No reason yet to click submit, right, for an entry short. We need to get confirmation, right, of that continuation narrative here. And if this thing continues to consolidate, we might be able to get a tighter risk reward entry, right, on an aggressive technique post inside bar. In the meantime, right, NQ testing that 2400 area again. So if we get a breakdown through low of day, we can start to target towards like 23. So we still have plenty of time here. So stop loss would be 58.14 now. And that would be a 2 contract position as it stands. And Q, if it can give me a high volume breakdown through that, 2380, and it starts to get interesting. So we'll watch for that, but it doesn't seem to be in play yet. Heavy volume to start, and then heavy volume at 10, and it's been pathetic since. So I don't know if that's as is, right? If that's a lack of enthusiasm because there's so much Fed speak going on, or if it's a lack of enthusiasm for downside continuation. Right? If it's a lack of enthusiasm for downside continuation, then we set ourselves up here potentially for like a red to green reversal type setup, which is one of my favorites to trade. Still waiting for a bit more information here. Yeah, maybe. Maybe scared to go short. Really big move overnight, so you'd think that a lot of this would be profit taking. Volume just feels dry. So this is setting up to be the lowest volume bar of the day here, which is fine for an inside bar, right? That's fine. If this was the volume you'd see post-entry, it's not great. But while we're consolidating, setting things up, no worries, no big deal. You keep getting rejected at the ORB high, or sorry, ORB low, which again I think is positive if you're a bear. And if this thing can close near these lows and break down, then that gives me a better opportunity for some nice position sizing as well, right? So as is, I'd be risking about, you know, 500 bucks or so, 550-ish. So if I can get this thing to be tighter, I could probably build up a slightly bigger size, and that makes life better. Don't like how long trading view takes to load today. That's also bothering me just a little bit. So if I could do something like that, right, 58, 12, 25 stop loss, that would be appealing. All right, and then an entry price of like 807.25. Yeah, it works fine, Chad. But when you're doing your evaluation, when you decide to take that next step, you won't be able to do that through Thinkorswim. So generally my recommendation, right, is to practice. And TradingView, you can integrate directly through there. So your execution platform can be exactly the same on an account. I mean, all these platforms allow futures trading, so it will be there. You might just have to do like, they have their like KYC requirements, right, to be able to do it. It's definitely low vol fake outs here, right? Definitely low vol fake outs. But, you know, with these low vol fake outs, you'd think it would be easy for bulls to step back in and reclaim control. And they've not shown the enthusiasm to do that here yet off of these lows. Not quite sure what they're waiting for here yet. I mean, ES and NQ, Chad, they're the two most liquid traded US names. So you'll definitely be able to trade them. I'm sure some other people do here, Mike. I've recommended it to a few people. We still need to see a breakdown through low of day, right, before we can consider an entry. So that price, right, is $7.25. So there it goes. Now we want to see a small pullback, right, into that 806 or above. So let's see if we can get a little tick by tick pullback again. Trying to be as patient as I possibly can be here. Okay, gonna start looking for an entry here now. Getting a good reaction. Yeah, this would be a 2 contract position. All right, guys, so I am in 58.807.50 short. Cannot spell. So far so good here. So far so good. Let's even keep giving me a little bit of further separation here, right? And really break down NQ, giving us nice follow through. So hopefully this starts to pull it down with it. Gosh, I get jealous over how volatile NQ is sometimes. Okay, come on, break down, break down, break down. I would like to see this hold under previous low of day. If it doesn't, I'll reset. Right? It making new lows and not being able to hold under previous low of day would not be a good sign for bears, sorry. Okay, so see if it can break down there. Come on. Good shape. So that's plus 250. So starting to get back, right? The initial loss here. Let's see if it can keep flushing. It is good volume on this candle. NQ continues to sell off. So let's see if this thing can break down through that 800 zone and really push. Nice work, Rusty. So that's 300. Let's see if it's got some more. Again, my freaking drawings disappear. It's driving me nuts today. So it's set up like this at the moment, right? Okay, so back to 250. Come on. This is really annoying. So I don't think I'll be able to look to build up into a bigger average price, right? So I continue to have to be a little bit patient here. You know, I don't like that immediate pullback. Doesn't feel great. So let's see if this thing can really start to flush here. But the longer it takes, right, the worse it feels. So we want to see it start to really give me some separation down, especially if NQ is really breaking as well. Right? So if NQ is flushing and ES is staying stuck, that relative strength from ES won't make me feel good about my downside thesis. So, okay, almost back to green on the day here. A move under like 802 should get me there. Fuck's sake, every time I've changed the chart, driving me nuts. Nice work, Rusty. Congratulations, man. Again, this is my current setup. Don't like these retests. So plus 250 here. So part of me that's thinking about potentially closing this because we keep seeing good downside follow through on NQ, but none really here on ES. That's bothering me here just a little bit. And then the other thing that's driving me nuts is every second time I go to my chart, my drawings are back. 806. Yeah, nice work, Karat. Like, if I'm trying to define what strength would look like, I'm not sure if I'm getting the perfect reaction here. So same standard that we had on that previous candle. I'll give this a little bit of time to play out, but it needs to close under 804. Just taking a little bit too long, in my opinion. So I want to see it to dramatically start moving here. This I don't like. Starting to maybe feel now more like a reversal than a breakdown. Got a break. Come on. Yeah, I just got stopped out again. That's painful. So now we're looking for potential reversal opportunities, right? NQ is going to be setting that up here. Because it did not feel great to the downside. Woo. So, okay, down about $940 here on the session so far. It's all right. We got another setup here coming to the upside. We're still very much one trade away from being nicely green. Don't think too much about your P&L, right? Think about your process. It's been an excellent week here so far, so please, guys, do not overcommit, right? Or overcorrect or do anything along those lines. So NQ here to the upside is going to be our next best bet. Reversal setup here. Now, I don't want a 51-point stop. We have that reversal signal, right? So it's a bounce off of 2,300. Bounce happened on increasing outlier volume. So let's see if we can get a good combo of information here to sync us back up. So stop loss have to be low of day as is, although I prefer, right, to use the aggressive technique so that I can have a much tighter stop. Otherwise, I have to wait for a pretty deep pullback here. Okay, so as is, right, this would still be only a one contract position. Let's see if this thing, how this behaves. Don't rush it here yet, right? We want to see bulls step in and defend these lows. ES back to entry price. That's funny. So this thing is starting to bounce nicely off of that like 20 handle. So I'm going to start watching here closely. As is, risking about $450 per contract. So this will be a one contract play. Okay, so watching very closely here, trying to get a pullback to enter in on. Again, only one contract here. Looking right around this area here, Karat, right? So this low 320s. Okay, now this could be 2 contracts. All right, guys, I am in. Average price 325. Average price 325. 2 contracts. So far, good reaction here. Up about $500 so far. Let's see if this thing can give me some separation back up away. Right? And then can really go build up into this. So let's see if it's got some enthusiasm. Good entry here. Plus 850. So almost green on the day here immediately. So much more positive reaction, I would say, right, to this trade than the previous 2. Okay, there we go. That's $1,000. Fuck's sake, why don't I just wait for this reversal? Great entry, Jeremy. Great entry. Let's see if it's got the juice. Nice work, PJ. Target's the white line. Target is the white line, right? So green, anywhere under green is entry. Red is stop loss. White is target. So what you can do in that situation, Jeremy, right, is have your price set to be at ticks at ask. And then you will get filled at any price, right, basically below. Or you set your limit price to be 20.53 or 23.40, whatever it might be. And then when you click submit, right, you're going to basically be behaving like a market order. Again, guys, right, I've made many videos over how to do your execution technique here inside the Discord. So please review those. That pullback, not beautiful. Gotta bounce here. Come on. Fuck's sake today. So I'm down about $1,500 on the day here. Ah, painful, painful, painful. No, shut up, Jeremy. So I maybe have one more shot in me here, potentially. Right, my max daily loss I'm willing to accept is 3K. I'm about halfway to that target. But 0 for 3 with 3 reasonably controlled losses. Not feeling great. This is a market that keeps faking out. What was your max loss on each trade today, Karat? Again, I'm not sure if I've done anything particularly wrong. You know, yet this morning, every trade I've taken has been a good setup thesis. But I am getting faked out a little bit more than I'd like. It's ultimately very frustrating. That's part of the game, right? It's the way she goes. So again, might have another reversal set up here to look after. Another fake out, right, through low a day. So this will be final shot here. So don't touch this yet. Don't touch this yet, right? Wait till you get some separation away from these lows. Are we entering any trader today? What do you mean by that, Damas? We've already taken 3 trades here so far today. I'm looking, yes. I will always tell you what I'm doing, right? So please listen. Because I'm breaking down my thought process as best as I can here in the moment. If I have to tell you, okay, I'm looking at an entry, and then you have to ask if I'm looking at an entry, I'm not sure what else I can do to make that more clear, right? Oh, you're in great shape here, Emmanuel. Nice job. So now we could be looking for a short opportunity. Yeah, that's what we're possibly getting a setup for here, right? This can go bearish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing on volume. Then we've got a setup here towards that 2200. I know you missed some of the big wins here this week, Jeremy. But I would recommend maybe just resetting if that's the case. Right? Resetting mentally. Okay, so watching closely here now to the downside, ES. Stop loss, 269. We need to see a breakdown under low of day. Okay, so you gotta get under 252, right, approximately. Okay, now watching for a pullback into my entry zone. Come on. Well, it's not really about a gap fill setup anymore, Sammy, right? We're now targeting that 2200 area as our target, right? So don't overcomplicate it. We're just targeting that secondary level once we've broken away from that opening range. It's okay. No entry here yet. Missed that. So now again, right, this might be setting up as that reversal opportunity. No, the opening range is the high and low of the first candle of that time frame. So the 3-min opening range is the high and low of that opening 3-min candle. The 30-minute opening range is the high and low of the opening 30-min candle. Ah, annoying day. So now, right, we're looking for a breakdown under this 2200 or, right, a reversal set up here on one of the longer time frames. I don't understand your question. Right now, there's no open position for me, so I'm not trailing anything. But we always then, once we establish new areas of support and resistance intra-trade, we push our stop loss up towards those zones. Ah, it's so annoying we got stopped out of this. No, I missed that entry, right? I missed that entry. So I am not in any current positions. If I was in a current position, I would tell you. And I would have it written down here on my screen. Please pay attention. Right? If I jump into a trade, I will always tell you that I'm in a trade. I also very clearly said that no entry, right? So please pay attention. I will always tell you exactly what I'm doing, right? Always. So don't assume I'm in a trade until you can tell or I've told you that I'm in one. Do you understand? All right, so possibly ES here to the downside, right? With the 3-point stop loss would be interesting. And Q is breaking down, but we didn't quite hold underneath, right? That 2200, so no setup trigger. Right, and this would be a target towards 5780 as our setup, right? So that first point of contact here. Okay, so we're looking for elevator down, stairs up. Okay, guys, I am in 57.89.50. Oh, maybe a shit entry. I can't even type it out. All right. So watching NQ here now to the upside. Reversal off of 2200. Again, down 1,800 bucks on the day. Kind of getting my ass kicked. Stop loss 2216. Okay, so that's elevator up. Nice work, Emmanuel. What's your entry price, man? All right, guys, I am long NQ here. One contract, 2241. What was your stop loss? Okay, well, finally fucking green. What was your stop loss, Damas? Please make it easy for me to help you by giving me information, right? I can't fill in your plan for you. All right, so let's see if this NQ has some potential here. Not a bad start to this trade. Right, up about 400 bucks. So let's see if this thing can keep going. It's a good entry. That's a great trade. So let's see if this NQ can keep running higher here. I'm a little bit frustrated today though, team. Apologies. Kind of got my ass kicked a bit. We're in okay shape here now, but I will not let this trade go red, right? I'm finishing the day with a win. Now I'm going to keep trading this as if I can try to get as much follow through as possible here. Hopefully I can pyramid into a position and set myself up to be successful. And now up almost 600 bucks on this position. So setting myself up nicely here. So a little bit more follow through and I should be in good shape. Again, not green yet here on the day, right? But we're putting ourselves in a situation where we're one trade away from being green. So a bit frustrating. I've struggled to find the direction of the market here nicely this morning. But I've lost small when I've lost. And okay, I'm within striking distance of still having myself an okay day. So is it beautiful? No. Is it the smoothest trading day of all time here? No. Have I had to work hard for my money here today? Absolutely. Will I complain? No, it's could be worse. And every trade I've taken, I'll have to review them. But I felt like I followed my rules. I felt like I followed my setup. I felt like I followed my thesis. And so sometimes you just get caught on the wrong side of variance. So is it frustrating? Yes. Do I wish every trade was green? Yes. But I have a chance. So now we want to see this thing recover above 2,300. Right? Then if it does, I should be in good shape here. Up 850, 865, almost 900 bucks, almost 1,000 bucks now. So we're in good shape here. Decreasing volume, not the best reaction, but it's a little bit late in the day. So that's fine. All I'm trading here, PJ, is this, right? So I'm either trading these high vol breakouts away from the entries or these high volume reversals once I see failed breakdowns, right? So today, we've tried to chase, or we've tried to trade, I should say, right? Failed breakdowns. And then after those failed breakdowns, we've seen high volume reversal candles, which then gives up those trades. Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it goes sometimes, Jared. Sometimes you get shaken out of trades you don't want to get shaken out of. Would have been a great day otherwise, but that's the way it goes, right? Like I crawled back about half of my P&L here on the day. So we're still very much in good shape here to set ourselves up. Well, what you can do, PJ, right, is you can either trade micros, you can trade one contract when I trade two, you can wait for deeper pullbacks, right, when stuff comes together. So if I'm down, you know, 1,500 bucks on a day, you don't have to be down 1.5%, right? You can be down 750 bucks. Okay, so let's watch here carefully. I won't let this trade go red. Like I said, whatever happens here, I'm finishing the day with a win. Right? And one thing we can never allow is for our greed to disregard our risk management, right? So being greedy to make money only puts you in situations where you're ultimately going to lose more. And as well as I trade sometimes, I'm never correct 100% of the time. My win rate on the year is like 64, 65%. So that means I spend a lot of time losing, right? So if each loss makes me greedy, makes me lose my head, gives back my ability to remain in control, anything along those lines, then I am not setting myself up for success. Right? Not every trade here is going to be a win. Not every trade here is going to be a loss, even though it felt like that here today. But we have to learn how to control our fear and greed so that we can actually execute our technique, right? If we want to be boring and robotic and systematic, then we can't be thinking in dollars and cents. Is that understood? So this idea, right, that you're just going to copy all my trades and become instantly profitable, and if you go double sizing, you're going to make twice as much money, that is a very flawed decision, right? So you have to obsess over controlling your risk. You have to obsess over controlling your mindset so that a losing trade doesn't ruin you, right? That doesn't set you over the edge. Because we will lose, and we will lose a lot. So if we make each loss personal, we're screwed, right? We are screwed. Yeah, we are playing a game of probabilities, and variance is random, right? So I don't know what the size of my next trade is going to be. I don't know how successful that next win is going to be. All I can do is control the size of my next loss and set myself up, right, to be 1 or 2 trades away from new all-time highs in my portfolio. So I keep about a 15K buffer in my Top Step account. So when I withdraw payouts, I leave 15K in there. And I don't hit max loss days, right? So a 3K losing day means that I had 6 losing trades in a row approximately. It's not going to happen. Right? Because I'm going to walk away way before that ever occurs. And I'll set myself up to be successful. Per account. Per account. Because I'm copy trading across the board, right? So I'm still in this thing. Fighting to see if this thing can give me some more continuation higher. So let's see if it can go here. Man, oh man, have I had to fight today, though. This has been a frustrating session. So plus 650 here so far. So about third recovered. Yeah, a bit more than that. And I'd like to see a high vol breakout here so I can look to build up a position potentially, right? And start to pyramid into this. My main concern with this remaining position is that we haven't seen big volume step in and defend these lows, right? So we saw a high volume reversal candle, but then it's kind of just been a grind up. So I'd like to see volume step back up and push me past that next barrier so that I can anticipate further follow through. Without that increase in momentum here on this position, might just have to resign myself to my fate and take this relative win. So definitely a challenging day here, team. Part of the game, unfortunately. And just understanding, right? Not every day is going to be like Tuesday. Not every day is going to be like today. And so what we can't do, right, is create expectations on ourselves that today is going to be the day I'm going to make $1 million or whatever your expectation is, right? And then get emotionally attached to your P&L. Because once you're behaving with an emotional attachment to your P&L, you can no longer trade like a rational human being. You mean this here? Like this green line? At some point here, Kieran, you need to go through the course material, right? And start to answer your own questions, because I'm repeating myself to an exhausting degree here with you. Yes, guys, I've been stopped out protecting my entry price here. Anywhere inside this zone is my appropriate risk-reward ratio, right? So anywhere under this green line, I am getting 3-to-1 risk reward or 4-to-1 risk reward towards my white profit target. Understood? So when my stop loss here is 2216.75 and my profit target here is 2453.75, this 2272 is my 4-to-1 risk reward. Right? So I'm risking about 50 points, right, to make 200. And then when I jump in, right, at 41, I'm getting a risk reward ratio of 10-to-1, essentially, on that trade. So we have to be able to answer these questions for ourselves. So I'm repeating myself to an exhausting extent here. Right? For information that is available to you. So you have to meet me halfway, right? Is that fair? So this is the Fibonacci retracement tool. There's a video inside the Discord chat, how to box in your trades, that shows you these settings and how I set it up. And it's just this. So it's just the classic Fib retracement tool. The video in the Discord is called Finding Your Formula for Success, I think. And it's just this. I don't know what you mean by that. Hear what voice? Sounds good, Jeff. You have yourself a great day, man. No. It might, Suresh, but I don't have outlier volume here to confirm my thesis, right, in any context. So, no. But you know that, man, right? You know that we need outlier volume for confirmation. You know this. So don't trade your feeling, trade your plan. So down a total of 879.85 on the day. 1 for 4. Check your YouTube settings, man. Seems to be working fine for everyone else. It's a tough day for sure, but it also doesn't put a dent into my weekly P&L, right? So per account, 225.13, 7,100, right? 550 bucks yesterday, and then minus about 900 bucks today. So okay, right? It happens. We have red days, but in the aggregate, we don't, right? We play a long-term game, not some short-term obsession over our P&L, right? When you have that short-term obsession over your P&L, don't see the pros and cons of your idea. Yes, Robin, I've been out for a while here now. Been out for a while. Right? Stocked myself out, protecting my entry for a 20-point win. All good, man. All good. Generally, when you see me writing my journal here, like I'm doing right now, I'm all out of trades. So if you ever see me on this screen here, does mean I'm out or done for the day. And yeah, not a banner day by any means. Almost down $900, pretty much. So gave back a little bit of the profits from this week here so far. But more than anything, I'm just kind of frustrated a little bit. Like, I allowed myself to get chopped out and all that Fed speak. The thesis that I had was mostly correct, but I couldn't seem to get the timing spot on here today. And so I found that to be a little bit annoying. And ended up, ended up just being a little bit pissed off with myself here, to be honest. Lost small when I lost. Didn't win big by any means. But, yeah, I mean, losing never feels good. The reality here, right, is the point about losing small. I don't think I could have done anything differently. Like, I think I traded all my setups. I was responsible with my risk management. I did all those sort of things. I think the thing that I probably ignored here a little bit too much was just the huge number of Fed speakers here today, right? So one, this is Market Watch. So we just had a tremendous amount of Fed speakers. I know that historically on days where you have this many Fed speakers, it tends to be just chop city. And maybe I was willing to ignore that just a little bit too much. Yeah, what we're always gonna do here, Robin, right? What we're always gonna do here, Robin, is we're always gonna make sure that when we have a tough day, we're always 1 or 2 trades away from being back at all-time highs in our portfolio, right? If your risk management is strong and your risk management is successful, then that's a very realistic target for you to accomplish inside your trading account. Now, if you start to skip those risk management steps, you start to compound mistakes, you start to do those sort of things, That's inside the Discord and the daily debrief channel. PJ, when you sign up, you will get access to that. So yeah, it's like not every week is going to be green, right? I can't guarantee that every Friday, you know, at 4 o'clock, it's always going to be green. But over the scale of, you know, multiple weeks, multiple months, multiple whatever, we should always be 1 or 2 trades away from new all-time highs in our portfolio. So as long as we focus on doing that, as long as we control those variables, we're going to be okay. The thing that you have to fight back against the most as a trader is just that greed, right? We all want to make money immediately. We all want to assume, right, that every green day is going to be followed by another one and another one and another one. And when we start to skip those steps and we start to trade with our ego versus our process, things tend to kind of humble you a little bit, right? And the market is cruel in that way. So on the week here, right, I've had 1 win, 2 win, 3 win, 4 wins, and 4 losses, right? I'm 50-50 here on the week. And that happens, right? But 50-50 with a 4-to-1 risk reward means I'm still exceptionally profitable, right? The math still works out in my favor. So if you keep those max losers small, you focus on losing in control, and you focus on the variables that you can't, like, you're responsible for, then the P&L will take care of itself and you'll survive that variance. Now, there'll be weeks where you're green. There's going to be weeks where you're going to be red. But over the course of a larger sample size, right, over the course of hundreds of trades, you're going to be nicely green as long as you follow the system and this technique. So I'm very confident you'll get there. In those 3 days, you've seen, you know, a best case scenario day, right, nearly, where we had a 7K win per account. And then today, right, you've seen kind of the nasty side of it today, right? Where, okay, we kind of got our ass kicked, but we lost less than $1,000. So, you know, you keep those ratios in play, then we don't need to be even close to 60% win rate, right, to be wildly green. And so for me, right, that's what I want to focus on. That's what I want to obsess over. And the more that I take care of those variables, the easier that is. So that's really all the obsession is, right? So I don't obsess over winning big. I obsess over losing small, because that sets me up to at least, right, be able to make back my gains or make back my red days, right, with reasonable gains. And what you'll find, right, is in a week, in a month, in 2 weeks, right, I'm going to forget how frustrating today was because my P&L wasn't catastrophic, right? It's when you are frustrated and your P&L sets you back a month, 2 months, right? Fails your evaluation because you couldn't accept a loss for what it was. Then you hold on to that baggage and you make things worse. So not a great day here by any means. But a day that I can easily recover from, and hopefully we get that opportunity here tomorrow. So any questions here, team? Any questions? I'm not going to be placing any further trades here on the day. Apologies for the frustrating and challenging session. Should have been better here today. So I'm sorry for that. Can't always promise you guys it'll be beautiful in here, but I can always promise you I will be as transparent as I possibly can be. I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and things along those lines. Juan, just to answer your question, anything I see on this calendar is good enough for me. Right? So I'm not smart enough to say, okay, pending home sales is going to be a non-event or it's going to be a huge event. So any 10 a.m. data, any 8:30 data, I'm happy to trust. If you want to go for a more detailed version, Forex Factory has a system, if you want to call it that, right, for their version of how important the news is. So red, max importance, right? Yellow, not important. Orange, medium importance. So if you want to use that system, that again would also be available to you. And you go from there. Well, I appreciate that, Cordell. Yeah, I mean, look, trading, we're going to lose a lot, right? Unfortunately, we are going to lose a lot. So I promise you, it's never personal. The market doesn't give a shit. It really doesn't. As much as we want it to feel like it does. So the way that we have to fight back against that, right, is also by not making our losses personal. And by just, the hardest thing to do as a trader is to get slapped in the face, but then to have the courage to stand there and repeat your technique over and over and over again, right? That's the hardest thing we can do as traders, to trust our, basically our setup, our technique, our strategy, even when we get slapped in the face. So is it fun? No, not at all. It fucking sucks. Do I wish I was more green here today? Of course. So that's the way it goes, right? That's the way it goes. So instead of making it personal, take it on the chin, lose small, and make it easy for me to bounce back tomorrow. And from the grand scheme of things, it's been an awesome week, right? So today's P&L, I'm still up 7K per account, right? So although today slapped me in the face a little bit, was frustrating, the frustration or the reason why you get annoyed, right, is because you had success early in the week, and that taste of success is so familiar that then taking a loss, taking 2 losses, taking 3 losses, it's like, oh, fuck, like, what is this? I don't remember what this feels like, right? And so that just exaggerates the feelings, and it makes it feel more personal. So instead of allowing that to be the reality, we zoom out, right? We trust that, hey, my system works when it works. And we just set ourselves up, right, to play the long-term numbers game, not the day-to-day results. So final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. Nice work, Robin. Like our reversal thesis was correct, right? But just hard to trust, right? It's okay. It happens. So final call here for questions, guys. Final call for questions. All right, team. Well, if no further questions, then I'll leave you all to it. Apologies for a frustrating session, and hopefully tomorrow is a stronger finish here to the week. Same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside of the market hours, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. And we'll catch up then. So talk soon, team. Peace.